Hi everyone, here are my top tips for running an alpha small group online. The first thing to say is it works really well, and the good news is it's not that different from running an alpha small group face to face in a room. Actually, most of it is the same, so you don't need to get stressed. However, there are 4 little differences that I think really help you maximize how you host and facilitate a small group online with Alpha. And all 4 begin with the letter S. So what are they? Number 1, you probably want to make your Alpha small group online a little bit smaller than if you were face-to-face in a room. Typically, you can effectively lead a small group on Alpha face-to-face up to about 12 people in a group. But I think if you're doing it online, you probably don't want to go over about 8 people maximum. That's a sort of big enough number if you're doing it, say, on Zoom. So smaller. The second S for hosting a great small group online is you probably want to make the discussion time a little bit shorter than if you were doing it face-to-face in a room. I'd say somewhere between 30 to 40 minutes tops is ideal for a small group online. It's harder to keep people really engaged for much longer than that on something like Zoom. So smaller, shorter. Number 3, and this is probably the most important one, the way you lead and facilitate a small group discussion online has to be stronger. If you're the host, you need to give it more energy, more oomph. It can be very relaxed and chilled in a face-to-face in a room, but on Zoom, to keep the discussion going and people engaged, you need to have more energy and lead it a bit more strongly. And you can also afford to be a little bit more direct in how you host the conversation. You know, if you're in a group, if you're in a small group in a room and you just throw out a question, you can wait, and eventually somebody might speak, or you see somebody's mouth begin to twitch, and you can encourage them to speak. It's hard to pick up those unspoken cues on something like Zoom. So if you just throw a question out, you may find nobody speaks. People feel a bit more capable of just being quiet. So if you ask a question, then you can be a bit more directive and say, well, what do you think, Paul, or what do you think, Lai Wei? And you can be a bit more direct in how you ask the questions. So make the group smaller, shorter, lead it stronger. And then the 4th S is be savvy in how you use the technology. So actually, you've got some amazing advantages in running an Alpha small group online that you don't have when you're face-to-face in a room. There's a lot of functionality to these online platforms. So, for example, in Zoom, you can encourage people when others are talking to react. The reactions button, you can do the thumbs up or the clapping. And as the host, if somebody's putting their thumbs up, you can say, "Oh, Rupat, I see that you really put your thumbs up when Jane said that last comment. Tell me, why do you agree? What do you think?" So get people to use the reactions. You can also use the raise your hand function if you want. Also, you can have some fun with the backgrounds as an icebreaker. And also, you've got the keyboard chat as well, not just the speaking chat. I found in the Alpha online small group that I ran last week, there was one woman, a guest in my small group, very shy, actually, and not confident normally to speak in the small group, but she was able to type in a comment on the chat. And I was able to say, "Oh, that's really interesting, Amber. I see you just typed in this. Why don't you just tell us what you mean by that?" And I was able to draw some really great stuff out of her. So those are the 4 S's: smaller, shorter, stronger, and savvy. And they're just top tips. But the bottom line is this: Alpha Online works brilliantly. And once you get over those initial embarrassments, actually, you may find that people open up and become even more transparent than if they were face-to-face in a room. Somehow that distance that technology gives you helps you feel a bit more protected, so people do open up quickly. Week 1, you might want to just use some great icebreakers, to a few games which can be fun, and encourage people, like I said, always to keep their video on and not switched off. Anyway, that is enough from me. Thank you so much for leading, helping and hosting on Alpha Online. I know the Lord's going to do amazing things and use you. Be expectant. God bless.